Riders on the
All right, what is going on, everybody? We're going to go ahead and get started. So today we're going to be talking about Celtics Hawks, some traded player exception news, trade rumors. That's always fun. Going over some of the different options and then what we think of the Celtics as a whole right now. But like I said, we'll start with the Celtics Hawks. Luckily, they won, so we have a little bit of positive news to talk about today, because before that I was thinking it was going to be a negative podcast. But they beat the Hawks 121-109. Kemba Walker looked really good. Robert Williams looked really good. Got to see John Collins too. I guess we can start off with that because last podcast we were talking about John Collins a bit. Got to see him in person. What did you think of John Collins?
I would definitely say real quick, Sticky, thank you for being here. But so John Collins looked good. He looked decent. Defensive end, he could hold his own, and that's definitely a guy that we should be targeting. Personally, I would love to see us get a big with these TPEs that we have. Correction on the last vid, because we talked about how we could use the Gordon Hayward TPE to get Collins. We could actually use Cantor's TPE because he only makes $4.1 million, and Cantor's TPE was $5 million.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a little bit of an update.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, he didn't score a lot, especially last night. He only had 8 points, so a little bit underwhelming in that respect. But I do think with the type of player he is, I feel like he would almost bring a kind of Robert Williams type of energy, maybe just a little bit more polished on the offensive end. He's got that crazy athleticism, can definitely alter some shots on the defensive end, so you got to see, a little bit of what that would be like. Unfortunately, he wasn't a great game on the offensive end last night, so.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely could have done better, but I mean, the defensive presence that he had out there last night. I know he was in some foul trouble early because I watched the game, so definitely seeing him get into that early foul trouble on a game, in February where it doesn't really matter that much. I mean, what's that gonna boil down to whenever they may make it into the playoffs and he keeps getting into foul trouble early? I mean,
Yeah.
he's definitely one of those people that are on the tightrope of like people that we would like to get to people that we should probably stay away from. But it's a toss up.
Yeah, I agree with that. Aside from John Collins, the big story of the game was Kemba Walker for sure. So like the past 4 games, I had a little stat here. Let me pull it up. It's gonna cover us, but I'll just show it for a minute here. It's a little blurry, but yeah, he's averaging almost 23 points, close to 50% shooting, a couple boards and assists to add to that, and we've been 3-1, so definitely when Kemba's playing well, it does make a difference, and we get to be closer to that team that we thought we would be going into the season. So it's definitely great to see him have a strong performance against the Hawks. And he ended up having 28 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. So definitely starting to get back to his former self.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. He's boosting up his trade value. No, I'm just joking. But he did definitely look like his old self back from his Charlotte days. Yes, Celtics, straight up. He looked like his old Hornets self. He could drop 61 on you if he really wanted to. But, it's just because of the injuries that he's had in the past that he's not able to. I see we just put up a trade real quick. Trade Andre Drummond for Semi Romeo in a first rounder.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about Drummond.
Okay.
I have a separate headline for him, so
all right. We'll wait on that.
We can dive into it for sure at some point here. But yeah, back to Kemba. It looks like he's been having a little bit more success driving to the rim, which is definitely an important aspect of his game. He's getting that confidence back, and it's something that you love to see because it reflects on the rest of the team. He's definitely somewhat of a leader with this team. I think, you saw that a little bit more last season. But there's been some talk around the league about whether Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can lead a championship team yet, whether they're ready to take on that role. And I think it's certainly a conversation to be had, but personally I think that they are. But the question is whether or not that's too much pressure on them at this point in their careers, right? When Kemba can take some of that leadership role off of their shoulders, I think it's going to reflect well on the rest of the team, especially some of these younger guys who aren't necessarily ready to contribute, like we want them to yet.
Yeah, I think that's why they brought Kemba in, is so he can, kind of show Tatum and Brown how to take that leadership role down in the future, because that's what he's done since he was in Charlotte that whole entire time. He was the leader of that team. So them bringing him here, he's showing them how to lead a team. So if he may not be here, whether it be during this off season or even, hey, during the trade deadline that we're talking about right now, Tatum and Brown can take leadership of that team and be coexisting on one team and can lead the team to a finals. Because we've, like I said, past lives that we've done, Tatum and Brown have been to the Eastern Conference Finals so many times, and it's just always that it's only one game away, okay, well, it's that one game away, but we need to have that push. And it has to be from our leaders. It has to be, just taking that mentality of, hey, let's keep the team going, and let's push through this and win. So,
yeah, Yeah, I agree with this comment I threw up about Collins. I think that's part of the toss up with this trade. You know, whatever you have to give up for him, it really depends what that would have to be. You do have the risk of losing it because we don't know if we'd be able to keep him anything longer than this season. So that is a valid point about the John Collins trade. Moving on from Kemba, Robert Williams played really well too. We definitely have to show Robert Williams some love. He affects the
Oh, yeah.
game in so many ways. Just his play style, his athleticism. He's an energy guy. You could kind of start to put him in the conversation of being a Marcus Smart type player in the front court, and a lot of it's because of that athleticism and energy that he brings. He had a great stat line, and in one part of the game, Elijah, you might have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but Robert Williams made a big impact, and it like put the Celtics farther in front of the Hawks. I think it was like going into the half.
Yeah,
Um,
it was especially on the fast breaks too, like
yeah,
the double alley oop from Kemba to Jason to Time Lord and just
that was
throwing it
sick.
down. That was one of the daggers in the early lead. So
Yeah, it was kind of a game that got away from the Hawks early, and Robert Williams played a big part in that for sure. Um,
I mean,
so go ahead.
so just the way that they played, I feel like that's how they should have gone with the first game that they played against Atlanta. So I mean, we should technically have 2 wins against them, but you know, I mean, I'm glad that they played the way they did this game, and I wish it would have just happened, earlier and happened for both the games. But if you take a look at the statistics on it and like kind of like game summary, we had the lead from 8 minutes and 50 seconds into our left in the first quarter, and we never gave up the lead for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
Correct me if I'm
yeah,
wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. But from the 8 minute and 50 second mark from the first quarter, the rest of it we had the whole game in the bag. I mean, it
yeah.
got close at times, but
So it brings up the question. I wanted to explore this a little bit. Should Robert Williams be starting on this team in some capacity? Whether that's alongside Daniel Tice or whether we fill out that 4 spot at the TPE or with the TPE rather. Um, do you see Robert Williams starting on this team anytime soon?
I mean, I would hope so. I guess that was like the hope of whenever they drafted him, because at the time we didn't really have like a solidified center, and we still don't. I mean, we have great pieces like Thompson and Tice, and then you have Time Lord, but I would definitely hope that he gets to be the starting five. That starting five that just makes a big impact on the defense and stuff like that. But to ask him that much, and how long has it been since we've drafted him? I mean, you still have to give him time. He's still trying to get adjusted from um, college to now. But I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses for him. But yes, I think he should start, and I think he should just get used to having that starting position and play with the starting five.
Yeah, I'd really like to see that tandem of Tice and Time Lord play better together because I think
Yeah,
that would really benefit us if we could put Tice at the 4 position just because of his size. He is a little bit
which
undersized at the center position, and not Tice, Time Lord kind of makes up for that if you play him at the 5.
Which I mean, Tice also makes for a perfect stretch four too, because
Hmm.
you see that he can hit that three ball. So, and like our other centers are kind of hesitant to take it. I know Thompson has taken a couple of threes, but that was back whenever he was Cleveland. In Cleveland, he hasn't really done it since he's been in Boston, just because he doesn't need to.
Right.
But just to see Tice grow as a player in the time that we've had him, and he can stretch out to the three now, just makes him a power forward now. I mean, I don't know if he wants to play the center position, but if he wants to take that power forward position away from Tatum, and then we have like a lineup of Kemba, Jalen, Jason, and then it would be Tice and Time Lord in the front
Yeah,
court. That's deadly.
I agree. I would love to see us somehow get Tatum get back to the 3 position.
Yeah,
Whether that's playing Tice at the 4 more often, or making a move before the deadline and filling out that 4 spot more. We can definitely explore that a little bit more, but I think for most of what I saw in chat, most people like the idea of Robert Williams starting. I think a lot of fans do as well. It's just don't know if it's the right decision right now just because of our center situation. But I'm hoping that Robert Williams can grow into that spot moving forward at some point.
Yeah, me too.
Speaking of trades, can start to touch on the TP a little bit here. There's a lot of stuff has been going on. Some Andre Drummond rumors. The Celtics have a strong interest in Andre Drummond, so I guess we can start there. And a lot of this has been like the fan favorite trade target. I'm in like a lot of Celtics groups on Facebook, and I can't tell you how many posts I've seen about the Celtics like trading for Andre Drummond. It's just been madness.
I think that he's just that person that we need, like that solidified rebounder, that the go getter for the defensive end on the ball. But where does he help out in like scoring wise? I mean, he's good down on the post, but other than that, like whenever Cleveland has tried to make them like him the playmaker on the floor, it's led into turnovers. So if he were to come here, he'd have to find out his role and find it out quick, just like any other guy did this season because of the circumstances. But he'd definitely have to find what his role is and find it out fast to kind of contribute to the team. And I don't know if he's willing to do that. I don't know. I don't even know what's going on right now with Andre Drummond. I just know that he's being sat out and he's kind of just wasting away on the bench, and he just wants to get out of there now. So
yeah. Also, his contract is an issue too.
Yeah,
he's getting paid quite a bit of money.
It's like 28.9 mil.
Yeah, so there goes your TP, and you'd have to throw some kind of talent in that trade. Whether that be Marcus Smart or you have to make the money work somehow with that. Do you know the exact number that we can actually bring in with that TPE? Because it's not the exact amount, is it?
Yeah, I thought it was like low 20s, like mid-teens. I think that's what we were talking about. Okay. I think it's around like 20 mil or something like that around there.
Yeah.
Because of all the extra stuff that we have to do with it as well.
Yeah. So you'd probably have to throw in at least like a young player and maybe a salary like Tice.
Yeah.
Smart as well would make those numbers work. We
were just talking good about Tice, but I mean, like if he were to go to the Cavaliers, he'd be a piece that they would, be able to integrate into their roster really quickly, just because he's willing to learn, any role that he's been given.
So my thing is, I like Andre Drummond. He's a great player. But how much does he improve this team? Because, like I said, that's the TPE gone. That's right. That's what I would call a home run trade. You're hoping that Andre Drummond can fix everything, but in my eyes, he's going to be a small improvement over Tristan Thompson. Yes, he's a better player, but they play the same role, and he's really not going to do that much for you offensively besides grab boards and get some buckets in the post. He'll be a better version of Tristan Thompson, that's for sure, but how much does that help this team? That seems like it has multiple issues.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of the comments saying that they wouldn't want Drummond. So, I mean, if that is the move, I don't know if we'd be able to make it. I mean, that might, be a step in the wrong direction. I don't know. I'm so up in the air about Drummond because I haven't really seen him play that much because he's been on like low market teams like Detroit and Cleveland. But just looking at other people, I know that there's other people that have more talent that we can pick up.
Yeah.
Instead of using the full TPE on Drummond. So, I mean, if we get like 2 mid-tier guys that can help out on the bench, then that's perfect.
Yeah. I'm totally for the Celtics like showing interest in him and engaging in talks and at least kind of seeing what a potential trade would be like. Is it my favorite trade? No, definitely
Yeah.
not. But I do think if we got him, it would make the team marginally better. But I don't know if it would be enough to put us over the edge to kind of be in that championship contender conversation. Um, but it has been an interesting one because, like I said, it's been really popular with Celtics fans, and now we do see the Celtics kind of showing some interest. So I definitely wanted to talk about that one.
I mean, Ainge went on the radio a couple of days ago, and it got put out on Twitter saying that he thinks that this team right here is not capable of winning a championship. So Ainge might do something near the deadline. I mean, he makes these accusations all the time around this time every year about something that needs to be done, and then he won't do anything. And then the off season is a disappointment as well. So us as Celtics fans, we'd like for something to change, and him to actually make a move to make the team better. But I don't think he's going to make it.
Yeah, I talked about this a little bit last podcast too, but I wanted to stress the point a little bit that there's a lot of pressure on this potential trade that we spend a lot of time talking about because these are the years that you really have to make a good team around Brown and Tatum. Their extensions are already in, the clock's ticking. We don't know if they're going to stay after these extensions are up. We only have so many assets we can trade because we've dealt out a lot of the war chest of picks that we used to have. So now I think we only have our picks moving forward, and a lot of our younger assets haven't played amazingly well, so those don't have a ton of value either. So we're kind of being pressured to make a really good trade right now, and then if whatever trade we end up making doesn't wind up going the way we want it to, then we're going to be in a tough situation. Did your headphones die?
Almost. They're saying battery low, but
I figured that's what you were doing.
So it's just a technical stuff on my side. So if I drop in tone or anything like that, my headphones are just about to die. But I would definitely love to see us real quick. I would definitely love to see us hit a home run, and that home run trade would be getting role players. So I think it's kind of both. So that home run trade would be getting multiple mid-tier people that can actually help out on the bench instead of having these people, they just, our bench hasn't really contributed that much other than like Semi, because Semi's actually been able to take a step out this year and kind of like grow because Hayward's not there. But people like Neesmith and Carson Edwards and Grant Williams and Tremont Waters don't really have a specific role on the team, and you can definitely tell whenever they get on the court, especially Teague. Teague needs to go. Teague needs to go like now, yesterday, a week ago. But it's just you can see the chemistry kind of fade away whenever the rotations get put out on the court that Stevens isn't really too sure about, because they push the ball so quick. And they try to get up and down the floor so quick, and that causes Brad Stevens to take the timeout because he's noticing, because they're pushing the tempo so fast, that they're not able to actually set up any offensive stuff at all. So you see them catch a rebound and they're already down the court in the matter of 5 seconds because they're trying to hustle the ball down to get fast break points. They're not setting anything up and putting any plays into the game. They're just trying to play fast basketball, and it's frustrating at times.
Yeah, I'm glad at the beginning of that you brought up the kind of home run trade versus getting multiple pieces topic, because I definitely wanted to talk about that. It's something that you have to evaluate because a lot of the Celtics fans have been discussing home run trades because that's kind of what gains traction. You see a big player, big name, you're going to gravitate towards that. But it really seems at this point that this team is going to need multiple pieces, because there's definitely multiple needs on the team, defense, bench scoring, big man. So I think probably at the point guard position will be okay when Marcus Smart comes back and as Kemba Walker continues to trend in the right direction. But you do have to start evaluating trades, kind of like the home run trades, which I would classify as like Andre Drummond, Vucevic, Aaron Gordon, these kind of like big names, versus getting multiple pieces, and those would be players like Larry Nance, Terrence Ross, PJ Tucker, kind of smaller names that would make an impact, but you could get more than one player. So
Yeah. I'm taking a look at these comments too, and it like the lineups of seeing like Waters and Edwards out on the floor at the same time, as well as like Semi and just like Jason Tatum being the only guy out there.
yeah,
Like it's so tough for him to like just lead that team because
Yeah.
there's no one on that lineup, that five right there, that can create their own shot. I mean,
right. Yeah, a lot of
kind of Teague, but other than that, like he turned the ball over way too many times, and like that's something that was set in stone in statisticals like years ago because he loves to turn over the ball.
Yeah. If you think about it, really, like a lot of our key rotation players would be like back end players who like don't play on like a championship team because they're not ready yet, and they're being thrust into these roles because this team is so young and because we've had injury issues. So a lot of our key pieces in the rotation these past couple weeks shouldn't be key rotation players.
Yeah, and you can throw up a title again of where in the world is Romeo Langford? He's still on the bench wearing street clothes.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen him, and they said that we're not going to see him until like mid-March. And then by the time that mid-March rolls around, they'll probably be like, oh, he's just out for the rest of the season. So just having one guy on your roster that you can't even play, and then all of these other people are like sub-tier players that could be on a championship team, but they wouldn't get any minutes. They'd get garbage minutes.
Right. They'd be like the 13th, 14th, 15 guys on the roster. They wouldn't be like 7, 8, 9, 10. You know what I mean?
It's like we took over the Knicks' karma, and they got to be better because they're doing fantastic this season. The Knicks are doing amazing, like as well as the Kings too. So like all the other teams that you think are like doing bad this season, like that's us. Yeah. We're one game over 500, and we're probably not going to do anything about it.
Yeah. So let's start to get into some of these like smaller trades. We can float around some ideas. You mentioned to me before we started there was some news about DeMarcus Cousins and the Rockets. Looks like they're going to be parting ways. So what's going on with that?
So DeMarcus Cousins and the Rockets are looking to part ways. His contract is fully guaranteed for $2.3 million. That might be someone that we can take a look at as a 5 and, take a look, put the feelers out, see what's going on with him, see if he's even interested in coming to the team. He'd be that defensive presence in the front court. But, 2.3 million, completely guaranteed by the Rockets. They're looking to part ways with him and probably buy him out in the next couple of days. So look for that.
And you mentioned there was a couple teams that had interest too, right?
Yep. So I believe that a lot of people are saying that he'd be a good fit for our team, the Celtics being. And then the Lakers are also looking to get him as well. So, of course, the Lakers are always going to look to get him. So I'm going to switch over real quick.
Okay.
So the Celtics would be a nice team to pick up DeMarcus Cousins. He has had injury problems in the past, like that ACL tear that he had whenever he was on the Pelicans. But just taking a look at the guy, he's come back from that ACL tear and been a big defensive help and I mean, he's only 30, so if you take a look at it, he's been in the league for a while, but he has the experience and he knows how to play. So why not take a chance? If he's going to get bought out and he's going to be one of those lower contracts, I'd rather have Cousins over Teague any day,
Yeah.
even
And
with the injury.
yeah, I was thinking like when you first brought up DeMarcus Cousins that it could be similar to a Teague signing. Like you don't know how much gas he has left in the tank, and obviously Houston didn't think he had any. It
But
seems
he does.
like. But so why are they parting ways though? Is there a specific reason they gave?
They want to get younger in the front court. So whenever Christian
Okay.
Wood comes back, they want Christian Wood leading the way and being the starting center at all times. So they don't want to have to keep Christian Wood out as well as DeMarcus Cousins. So yeah, I wish he would have signed Christian Wood too. Christian Wood is he's definitely going to be an all-star snub, but I mean he's out with an injury anyways. So. We wouldn't even have to trade it. You guys, we wouldn't even have to trade anyone for Cousins. We'd just have to drop a player. We'd have to use the money that we take to buy him out to tell him goodbye. I mean, he's making the same, like his guaranteed contract right now is around the same amount that we had the TPE for Vincent Poirier.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with what I'm seeing, like this comment too. Like even if it did turn out to be a Jeff Teague situation where you pick up Cousins and he doesn't play like you want him to, he doesn't contribute, you don't know.
He's
It's a
still
question
there.
mark. He's still a huge physical presence, especially on the defensive end, and that's something that would be helpful to have on top of Tristan Thompson. So
And that'd be a perfect guy to train with Robert Williams, just to get the knowledge from DeMarcus Cousins to pass it down to Robert Williams,
mhm.
and just like him working with him all the time and stuff like that. I would love to see Robert Williams turn into the next DeMarcus Cousins without any injuries or anything like that. That would be amazing.
Yeah. All right. Moving on a little bit. This is one that I wanted to talk about. Terrence Ross and Larry Nance Jr. I think would be two good additions. The way that their salaries line up, it's basically the whole TPE. But Terrence
Yeah.
Ross would be a great bench piece. He's having a really good season. He defends well enough as well. And Larry Nance would be the guy that I think that you could plug into that 4 spot potentially in the starting lineup. It would either be Nance or Tice. Depends what works better. You'd probably have to experiment a little bit. But then you can kind of move Tatum back to the 3 and play with Thompson or Tice. So probably Thompson, I would assume. But I think...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, I think that this two-piece trade fills two of the big needs that we have. Shooting with size and defense, and the bench presence as well with Terrence Ross. So I think this would be a good use of the TPE. And then if you really have to, make a couple minor moves aside from that. But this two-piece trade I think would be better than getting like a big home run trade like Andre Drummond.
Yeah, I mean, definitely see Vucevic or nothing. That's funny.
That's my favorite target, but I don't think it's gonna work.
I don't think
sadly.
it's gonna happen either. But definitely seeing Terrence Ross and Larry Nance Jr. I like that a lot. Terrence Ross would be an amazing scorer off the bench, like you said, and then Larry Nance just getting put right into that power forward position so we can slide Tatum to the 3 like we used to. Who would you give up though? Who would you waive?
Well, an easy one is waive Teague.
Yeah.
Get him out of there. You'd probably have to give up a player in the trade too, but give up a couple players.
Yeah. Does that mean would you move Smart back to his original position of point guard? Because he's originally a point guard whenever he got drafted.
No, I wouldn't do that. Worst case scenario, I'd have him come off the bench and play as a 6-man. I think that he could fill that role for sure, just because of the energy that he plays with. he'd be a difference maker in that second unit, if it comes to that.
I mean, if you also think about it, if we do trade for Larry Nance Jr., that connection with Thompson and him is unmatched.
Yeah, good point.
So
I was thinking about that. I just forgot to bring it up. When I was thinking about this trade, I was thinking like, they were both on the Cavs. There could be some good chemistry there. So yeah, good point.
Yeah. Apparently, someone tweeted out to. I just want to make a point real quick. I know it's not something that I had expressed to you before we started the live.
Yeah, go for it.
On NBA Twitter and Celtics Twitter, like mainly, someone had commented on Jaren Jackson Jr.'s one of his posts about, "Hey, come to Boston," and he liked the tweet. So
Really?
it showed up on his likes, and Celtics Twitter came down in a madhouse, and now everyone's trying to figure out how to get Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Celtics.
Yeah, I did see a comment about that on one of my YouTube videos.
Yep. That would be a pickup. That'd be an amazing pickup.
So yeah, I had like a small back and forth with that guy who commented that, because I love Jaren Jackson Jr. He's a beast. I think he fills a good role on the team too. The problem is the injury that he's dealing with currently. It's something to do with his knee. I forgot the exact injury, but as of right now, like, he's already coming back later than they expected. And like, if there's any other setbacks, that's a guy that like might not even be able to contribute a lot this season. And in my mind, it's like, we're not good enough this season, so any trade that we're making would have to make us better this season, even though I like Jaren Jackson Jr.
I mean, yeah, that brings up a good point too, because if you don't have him for next season, I mean, there's not really much that you can do. Is he on a restricted free agent? Is he one of the restricted free agents for next year?
I'll look it up.
Okay. While you're looking that up, I mean, he would definitely be one of those people that could be on the defensive end an absolute beast, because if you see him play with the Grizzlies, that combination of him and John Morant is one of the best ones out right now. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, he's had to sit out with that injury. So, I mean, I hope he gets better. But I see a lot of injuries, a lot of knee injuries this year, which is kind of weird. Jalen with that left knee soreness, which ended up being tendonitis. Just a lot of knee injuries this year for some weird reason. I don't know if it's just me that notices it. I don't know if it's anyone else that notices it, but it's definitely something to take a look at.
Okay, he is going to be on contract for a couple more years.
Oh, yeah?
And then he's going to be a restricted free agent. This season he's making a little bit over $7 million. Then it bumps up to $9 million next season, and then qualifying offer of $12 million in 2022-23 season. Then he's going to be a restricted free agent.
I mean, that's not bad. That's probably like a very team healthy contract for the Grizzlies. Ha 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 ha. That's. Oh my god.
Okay. What other trades do we want to talk about here? We have talked about Vucevic in the past. Like, I saw it brought up in the comments. I'll say it again. He's my favorite target. I'd be so happy if the Celtics got him. I just don't think it's going to happen. That's why I haven't been like, as fixated on it.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that we always want to hype up that person that we want so bad, and we know Danny Ainge won't make a trade to save his life. I think he would rather die on the hill knowing that he never made a trade that would help the Celtics.
Yeah, right.
Because we've lost so many big names like Hayward and Kyrie, and then we traded for Isaiah Thomas and then got rid of him after he helped us get to an Eastern Conference Finals. And then just to think about the other players that might have been here, like there was once upon a time, talks about having Anthony Davis here, and it was like, oh yeah, Anthony Davis, like I'd love to have Anthony Davis, and then his dad is like, yeah, he's never gonna play ever for the green and white, and we were all like, oh well, no, we still want him, and then never happened. So just to see so many fans get hyped up, I mean, just give it time. I mean, if we hype it up too much, Danny's never gonna want to make that trade. So,
Hey, what's up, Matt? Good to see you here, buddy. Addressing this comment, do I think the Celtics could trade for Beal without using JT or JB? No, I don't. He's too good of a player, especially the way he's been playing this season. I wish we could, but no, I don't. Let me get us back to normal here. Okay.
I feel like we've had some like prime. I just want to, because I see a bunch of comments now of Danny Ainge and stuff like that. So oof, go LeBron out.
Yeah, this guy's a Lakers fan. Everyone roast him in chat.
Oh, press F. But so we've seen a lot of good Danny Ainge trades. We've seen trading for Kyrie. Yes, we gave up Isaiah Thomas, but we got Kyrie back, and we didn't know how it was going to play out. We've traded an old wash Pierce and Garnett for a bunch of picks that ended up being Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Thank God they ended up Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, because if they didn't, we'd probably have a completely different team. I don't know. I don't know what Ainge is thinking. I don't think anyone knows what Ainge is thinking and is in the process of doing. I just hope that it's the right move. I mean, if he ends up getting those, the two decent off-the-bench role players, then perfect. But if he wants to go out and make that home run trade for just that one person, then go for it. If you think it's going to help the team, then just do it.
Yeah, I have a feeling I trust in his decision-making. I think that he's going to take the best offer that he's got, just, considering the trade market right now and what's available to him and what the trade dealers are going to look like. So,
I mean, I've just, one time while we're doing this live stream, I just want something to pop up on Twitter about, Celtics making a trade so we can get a live reaction out of the both of us for it. And just to see what it looks like, but I know it probably won't happen. But I mean, Bradley. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. Yep. So, do you want me to throw it in the trade machine real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's do it. Let's break down this trade because I kind of like this one. Okay. So we got Bradley Beal. Excuse me while I get this all set up, because I wasn't ready. All right, so we got Marcus Smart going to the Wizards. We've got Pritchard going to the Wizards. Oof. Not sure about that. Thompson and Romeo. My stuff just died again. Tristan Thompson and then Romeo Langford. And how many first? 3? So let's go 2021, 2023, and 2025, because you have to do year after next all the time. And then for Beal. So let's try it out. Success. So we would take on an extra $880,000 onto our books to get one guy to trade 4 people and 3 first rounders. That's absolutely insane. That makes no sense. We have to sign so many other people, and we don't have the money for it. Just money-wise, we don't have any money for it.
All right. Next topic. I have one I wanted to bring up. A Celtics writer wrote about a potential Al Horford reunion and how it was basically exactly what the Celtics needed. I think I may have brought this up briefly on like the first podcast that we did or something, but like it's exactly the way that I was thinking about the situation. I just don't know how realistic it is, and obviously Al Horford's overpaid right now too. So the contract's not the best, but that's one of those home run trades. Like, yeah, the contract's not great, and he isn't playing like quite as well this season, but that could be a trade that would put us back up in that conversation because he did make a huge impact on this team when we had him. Yes, he didn't have the craziest stats, but on the defensive end, he was our like identity on the defensive end in a lot of ways because he held things down in the paint. He could switch on and wasn't a huge liability when he switched on to smaller players. So I really like this idea. It's just his contract isn't great, and I don't know how realistic it is. But I wanted to bring it up briefly because there was like an article about it. So,
I mean, if we take a look at it, so I see a lot of no's in the chat. I mean, Horford was a good piece for us way back when, whenever we had him. I personally did like him. I just think that sometimes on the defensive end, he had some mind slippage. Just because he forgot what defensive play they were running, and then he'd like forget where the ball was, and something would slip. But personally, I did like him there, especially whenever we were in the playoffs. Al Horford was a different breed. So yeah, just killing a spam a little bit. Someone got blocked.
someone got a little rowdy in chat.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say any names, but
yeah,
Matt Cornelia. No, I'm kidding.
take it down.
Okay. Let's see. There may have been. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this one like really briefly too, because I don't know how likely it is. Like there haven't been a lot of Karl Anthony Towns rumors, but I do think that he still fits into the mold of what Danny Ainge would be potentially looking for. Big man that can shoot. He's a big name as well. Like he would be one of those home run trades as we were talking about. And you do get the sense that he might be getting a little bit frustrated with the Timberwolves. Even though they brought in D'Angelo Russell, it still hasn't been going that well. So it begs the question, would Karl Anthony Towns ever become available? I don't know, but I do know that he would definitely fit a good role on this team.
I think if he asks out of the team, then yeah. If he demands a trade, then I say we should go for it. So you know what? If he ever demands for a trade from the Timberwolves, because he's been there his whole career, I would say take it like a KG trade, because this is Timberwolves Celtics all over again. They know the last time that we traded for someone, it was whenever we traded for KG. And I think that would be Ainge's perfect move. If he ever sees that Karl Anthony Towns demands a trade, he's got to get on the phone and talk to the Timberwolves GM. That might be something that we would take a look at, and if it ever happens, we'll definitely brush on it again. I guarantee it. But if we take a look and see at his stats, I know he's having a rough year because of like all the injuries and the losing his mom and having a bunch of people pass away from COVID and then having the car accidents. I think he'd be something that we could take a look at, but I would just have to wait. I would have to see in words, Karl Anthony demands a trade.
Yeah, I agree with you. If he does ever become available, I'd like to see Danny Ainge pursuing that, like ideally this season or next season. But I do think that he would fit that missing void on this team, and we can put Daniel Tice at the 4 and have them start to play together. you'd have a lot of shooters in that lineup. I think that would look really good.
Yeah.
But
And thanks for being here, Chris. I do just want to let you know we did talk about it a little bit ago. We were talking about the possibility of Boogie coming to the Celtics. But we would definitely love to have Boogie on the team just to be that defensive presence on the floor. Did he actually just get released right now? I'll have to check Twitter.
Yeah, check it out.
If he did, then
yeah, I didn't want to spend too much on Karl Anthony Towns. I just wanted to bring it up. Like, there hasn't been any rumors or anything, but I do think he fits what we're looking for. And then last topic for tonight's live stream. Thanks again, everyone who's been here watching. We appreciate you guys in the live chat. Can this team still win a championship? I think probably the resounding answer is not at the moment. At least that's what I think. I think that we still have hope because there's the TPE and there's potentials that Danny Ainge could make a move. We haven't seen Kemba Walker at his full form yet. We've seen flashes of it. So at the moment, no, I don't think we have enough depth, frankly. Especially we saw with a couple injuries. We're playing guys deep, like people who shouldn't be playing a lot of minutes are like key rotation players, as we've talked about, and I don't think that is what a championship team is going to look like. So I think if we can make some moves and increase the depth on this team, we could be in the conversation. But as of right now, I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head right there. I agree with you wholeheartedly that if we don't trade for those role players that would actually make an impact on the team, we're not going to make it to the championship. We would waste the prime of Tatum and Brown. But they definitely need to make a trade. Maybe this year in the off season, towards the end or towards the start of next season. We don't even know what next season is going to look like. We don't even know what the next half of this season is going to look like because they haven't even released the schedule for it yet. But if we can win a championship with this team, I think it would be kind of crazy. As well, I really just don't think we're going to win this year. I'm not getting my hopes up.
Yeah.
I say, what do you think? What do you think we'd be if we ended up in the playoffs?
If we ended up in the playoffs right now without a trade, I think we'd be probably second round exit is what I would predict. Given, and that would be like if the team was healthy too. Really, Romeo Langford is a question mark. Like, if he can come back this season and be an impact off the bench, maybe that boosts you up a little bit, but that would be putting a lot of pressure on him as well. So I really think a lot hinges on the potential trade that we'd be making. Like, if we can bring in a couple of good pieces, like, I'll use the example of that Terrence Ross, Larry Nance trade. If you can do something like that and get two good rotation players, and then get the team healthy, you get Kemba closer to what he used to be, that all-star point guard. Maybe he's not quite all-star level, but at least close to it, and he plays more consistently. And you get, Romeo Langford back, you get Smart. I think that's a team that's in the conversation, at least. I'm not getting my hopes up, like you said, but I don't think that we've lost hope completely.
Yeah. So, it's a general consensus here on In the Paint podcast. We don't think that the Celtics are going to win a championship this year. We're not going to get our hopes up. Cool if they make it to the finals. If they do, we're definitely going to be rooting for them. But, as it stands right now, where this team is at, it's a second round exit. I'm just trying to see if there's any other stuff that's coming out. Yeah. I'm guessing that they did mutually part ways. So right now, Cousins averaged about 10 points per game and about 8 rebounds per game in just the 25 games that he's played. sources have expressed positive feedback about Cousins' professionalism and play during his time in Houston. So it's a nice upside to his career. He's always been the person with a very mean demeanor to him, and kind of just like off-putting kind of attitude he has on the court. But hey, he's actually very professional. He wants to be a part of a team that wants him there. So if Ainge expresses that, hey, like, we want you here and we want you to work with us, cool. I mean, if you were to be on this team, I think your trade and might in the signing of Cousins would probably be the highlight of the season right now. So like Terrence Ross, Larry Nance Jr., and then having Cousins.
Yeah, and the outlook on the championship team, like, things are so up in the air right now. Like, we could make a trade next week and the conversation would be completely different.
Right.
So it's kind of just one of those things we're gonna have to keep discussing the potential trades and what direction the team can go in and kind of evaluate things once we get there.
Real quick, what do you think about Blake Griffin?
Oh yeah, that's a good one that we didn't talk about yet.
He's been mentioned a couple of times. I think it's more so that they're looking to an actual buyout for him instead of trading him because they know that they're not going to get a lot of assets from him. So I think he's going to be an actual buyout. So I mean, what would you do there?
He's not my favorite target.
He's not my favorite either, but he's definitely one that's been mentioned a lot with the Celtics. But he's got no vertical anymore. If you take a look at him, like, he barely has any lift whenever he goes to make any layups. And the crazy stat for him is that he hasn't made a dunk since 2019.
Yep.
So his knees are shot.
Yeah, and his numbers have been steadily declining too. If you look at the season breakdown, it's tough to look at. And yeah, he would be a good piece to have. He kind of would round out the roster. Like, he's an NBA player that you can throw in your rotation, right? He's not one of these like young or like raw talents that we have so many of. So yes, he would help, but he's not someone that I'm like laser focused on right now.
Yeah. I think he would help, but sometimes he would negatively help. Like, he'd kind of hinder the team as well. Because he wants to get his shots up as well, but at the same time, his 3-pointer is so flat. It's kind of sad. So, I mean, I think I would agree with Chris too. I would rather have Cleveland buy out Kevin Love, and we have Kevin Love on the team than have Blake.
All right, so I think we're about to wrap it up here. That was kind of the last topic I wanted to cruise through there. I think we've been going about an hour, so
about an hour now. I mean,
lines up pretty well.
I love these hour chats, man. Like, little backstory about us. We work at the same place, but we have like cubicles that are on the complete opposite ends of the facility. So like, this is just us sitting here talking about stuff that we've talked about in the chat at our work, and then now we get to express to you guys. So yeah. I mean, I love this. I love sitting here and like just chatting with you about Celtic stuff. Kind of recapping games. Like, that's why whenever you and I had like talked about doing the podcast, I was so in on it.
Yeah.
And just sitting here and like getting to interact with people in the comments and just getting to talk about the Celtics. That's one of my favorite things to do. So
yeah, it's a great time, and definitely want to thank everyone who's like in the comments and interacting with us. It makes it a lot more fun for sure. And we're gonna try to keep doing these every week, every Saturday.
Yeah, this should be my setup every Saturday. So right now in the comments, tell me what color you want for next episode.
Also, just before we wrap up, too, quick shout out to Bluehost. I didn't do it at the beginning of the podcast, which was dumb of me. I'm gonna be on in hot water with Bluehost. No, I'm kidding. So thanks, Matt, for contributing there. So, if you're interested in making a website, or if you have a website and looking for a new provider, check out Bluehost. They're a great company. They have a great service there. I have a link to them in the description. Even if you know nothing about websites, but you're like interested in maybe making one for yourself, or like a side business that you're interested in doing, they make it really easy. And even for someone who like doesn't know anything about websites, Bluehost is a great place to start out. So check them out in the description if you're interested in that, and if not, that's totally fine. Thanks to Bluehost, and yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Elijah, you got any closing thoughts? Are you all set?
I think I'm all good. I do believe that we have a game tomorrow, so I think we should if you guys want to like talk to us, like I think we should also like drop our like Twitter handles too at some point.
Yeah,
Probably.
I'll try to put them on next stream.
Yeah, so next stream, if you guys want to talk to us about like Celtics at any time, like talk to us in like our DMs, and we'll get back to you about it. Because I love to just sit and talk about the Celtics all the time. So, you know, I wish it was a full-time job just to sit here and talk about, you know, the Boston Celtics, or just in basketball in general. I'd love to have this be a full-time job, you know, but
maybe at some point.
Just some point. I mean, like if we get on the ground, like. Who knows? But I would love to. Yes, we did pass on City Fate. We'll get to that next stream, but
yeah,
we'll talk about that more.
I don't want to talk about that anymore.
Right? Yeah,
it's not. Yeah, it's sad.
So real quick, let's jump on the next couple of games that we have for next week, so we know what to expect. We've got. I'm so sorry, guys. So tomorrow we've got the New Orleans Pelicans, and then on Tuesday we have the Mavericks. Hopefully that game gets played because of all the stuff that's happening down in Texas. Next Wednesday we have Atlanta again. Friday we have the Pacers, and we'll talk about all those games on Saturday. And then to wrap it all up for the first half of the season, we have Washington Wizards again.
All right, yeah, sounds good. That Pacers game should be a challenge there.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk to you guys about that one as well.
All right. Well, again, thanks everybody for joining us in the live chat, and we're going to be doing this again next Saturday, so feel free to come say hi then. And go Celtics. Hopefully we can have a good week, and we'll see you all next time.
Go Celtics!
All right. See you guys.
Yeah.